Well, we are going to stay mainly dry through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening, especially the farther east you go. Out west, you could see a couple of isolated thunderstorms pop up, where a few of those could also pack an extra punch. We'll get into more details on that in a moment, but it's also going to be a warm night on our hands. Lows in the 60s to near 70. We get ready for a day where we feature a couple of isolated thunderstorms possible on Tuesday, but coverage not widespread. We'll still talk about that all the same in a little bit. Until then, First to 4 starts right now.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group. KELOLAND News, first at 4.
Coming up, receding water levels sparks a fire near Chancellor. Details coming up.
Plus, the reminder from authorities following a rescue over the weekend.
And how you can help Sioux Falls Day Camp recover from this recent flooding. Well, good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Tom Hansen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. This afternoon, we're continuing our coverage of the rising floodwaters in southeastern South Dakota. Here is a look at the damage in McCook Lake in Union County.
Yeah, water levels rose faster than expected, knocking houses off their foundations, tearing apart the shoreline, creating dangerous drop-offs, and filling the lake with debris. We'll take a closer look at the damage, plus we'll hear from people who live in that area. That's tonight at 6. Meanwhile, this is what it looks like in Jefferson in the far eastern part of South Dakota. The city is just east of the Big Sioux River. Many streets in town are filled with water, and so are people's yards, as you can see here. Farms in that area are also underwater.
Fire officials are asking people to not overload circuits while pumping water following a fire near Chancellor. The fire department says an evacuated homeowner came back to check on things Sunday morning. When they went inside, they felt heat and saw smoke and soot. Firefighters had to disconnect utilities while they were in knee-deep water. Authorities say the fire started in the fridge and is likely electrical in nature, caused by receding water levels.
And before you drive around any barricades out there, take a look at this. The Turner County Sheriff's Office says someone decided to drive on a flooded stretch of Highway 18 over the weekend. Area fire departments responded with a tractor and a boat and were able to get the person out safely. Authorities say it happened right before the SUV was swept downstream in that current. You can see the water is up to the roof of the vehicle.
Well, Camp Leif Erikson in Sioux Falls is asking for donations after floodwaters took over the site this weekend. The water has since receded, but now staff are cleaning up the muddy mess. They say structurally the bigger buildings are okay, but they're dealing with some smaller damage.
We'll be assessing the damage to some of our play structures that we obviously were not able to get out, just to make sure that those will be safe. Same with our footbridges, things like that. Most of the damage did occur to some of the smaller structures, like our hand washing stations, the porta potties, the carpet ball tables.
Coming up in the next half hour, Lauren Solik will take a look at how high and powerful the water was that roared through Camp Leif Erikson.
Man, it sure is nice to see the sun out to dry things out, though, isn't it?
It is, but a lot of tough images out there.
Yeah, and the heat's not helping either, Adam.
Yeah, exactly. We could use a day where we don't have to deal with heat advisories to really help out with the cleanup process, but we have to go with the hand that we're dealt. And while, yes, it's been dry, it's also been rather humid across a decent portion of the region. We'll start with a view from our camera in Falls Park. More and more of the rocks that were very much underwater over the last couple of days are now becoming more visible. Also, you notice the little observation area on the right-hand side of your screen. You can now see not only that, but also the path that leads to it. So we are getting progress in terms of water levels receding, but it is still going to be a process. Also worth noting, it's 91 degrees outside, only our second 90-degree day of the year. Yes, it's early, but considering how hot it was last year, we are certainly behind that pace. We're also at 90 or better, in this case 90 on the dot, with a view from our camera in Pierre. Blue skies above the Capitol, 90 with a north wind at 14 miles per hour. A lot of 90-plus degree heat out there this afternoon, and that's not counting the heat index. It feels like it's, well, way warmer than 94, for example. In Phillip, we've hit 100 in Pine Ridge, 95 out toward Rapid City, 90 Winter and Mobridge, Aberdeen at 93, 89 toward Brookings, 92 in Huron. At least we have a breeze. It's a warm breeze, admittedly, near and east of I-29, but It's better than the alternative. We have a northerly wind developing more and more from the James River Valley points west, so that is at least taking the edge ever so slightly off of all of that heat we have out there. Speaking of which, heat advisories in orange through the rest of the afternoon, through about 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. But we did get an upgrade earlier this afternoon to Yankton, Clay, and Union counties, all of which are now under an excessive heat warning, where we could see heat index values approaching and exceeding 100 to 105 degrees as we go through the next couple of hours. So please continue to keep that in mind. Also, we're going to keep an eye on the skies for a little bit. We still could see at least a few thunderstorms fire up, a marginal risk in green, level 1 for a majority of KELOLAND, a little bit more of a conditional marginal risk to the east, not so much to the west. We'll break down those details a little bit more, go through the rest of your 7-day forecast as well as we head through the hour.
Thanks, Adam. Well, since flooding began on Friday, Red Cross volunteers have mobilized to help people affected by the flood. The Red Cross is managing or supporting 6 shelters in northwest Iowa, including 2 in the Rock Valley area. Now, since the onset of flooding, there have been more than 960 overnight stays in Red Cross shelters. Shelters are open to everyone. KELOLAND's Jordan DeSmet will have more on the flooding in our next half hour.
Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds has issued a disaster proclamation for 21 of the state's 99 counties. The Woodbury County Sheriff's Office shared this video of the flooding in Correctionville. Authorities are asking people to stay away from that area if they don't belong there. Days of heavy rain pushed rivers in that area up to record levels. Utilities were shut down in several cities and evacuations were ordered.
In Minnesota, some people are being told to evacuate after flooding on the Blue Earth River caused Rapidan Dam to fail. The Blue Earth County Sheriff's Office says debris started accumulating on Sunday at the 114-year-old dam located about 10 miles southwest of Mankato. Pieces of an Xcel Energy building and other county buildings are adding to the debris in the water. The National Weather Service says the failure is expected to cause the Minnesota River at Mankato to crest just below major flood stage tomorrow morning.
Well, switching gears here, a young Chicago man is the recipient of a new kidney transplanted while he was awake. Jared Hill shows us the surgery that could open the door for patients with higher risk for general anesthesia.
Are you awake, John? Your renal failure is cured, my friend.
It's not every day a patient and doctor have a conversation in the middle of surgery. Last month, surgeons at Northwestern Medicine performed one of the first awake kidney transplants on 28-year-old John Nicholas.
This kidney's going to make a lot of urine, John. Yeah. So you're going to have to drink a lot of liquids, okay?
Okay, can do. Nicholas had chronic kidney disease since 2013 and says it was a matter of when, not if, he would need a transplant. His childhood best friend became the donor, and doctors approached Nicholas about the awake part about a month and a half before surgery.
I spoke with the 2 surgeons for about half an hour, and I was sold on the idea.
Nicholas was given a spinal epidural, nerve block, and light sedation. He says he didn't feel anything in his lower body during the surgery.
I asked, at one point, hey, are you guys, when are you going to get started? And they were like, oh yeah, we've already been working for a while.
The best way I can equate it is a C-section for a woman who's about to have a baby.
Dr. Satish Nadig says awake surgery decreases the risk of general anesthesia and gets patients home faster.
It can really open the door to so many more people that have kidney failure that can make their major operation that they're going to undergo more of an overnight procedure.
Nicholas was discharged the next day with nothing stronger than an over-the-counter pain reliever.
Hopefully there will be a lot of other people like me.
Northwestern Medicine has already identified 5 more patients for the awake surgery and hope the method can improve more lives. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Doctors say the average hospitalization nationwide for a traditional kidney transplant is 5 to 7 days. At Northwestern, it's typically 2 to 3 days, and now even less with this new awake procedure.